Hello everyone, this is Turin here, and today guys I'm here with another Total War Warhammer live BattleCast. In this game we're going to be playing the Warriors of Chaos and we are facing off against the Greenskins. So as far as our army composition goes, we do have Kolek Suneater right here. He's a pretty good pick against the Greenskins, does well against Black Orcs, very good at sniping Greenskin Lords. One of the weaknesses though is the Goblin or Orc firing squads obviously being a big, low armored target.
Actually he picked Pony because I wanted him to.
Yeah, Lady Turin forced me to pick the Pony. But he is mighty indeed. He has the Lord of the Storm, bunch of good abilities, and we also do have the Chaos Sorcerer with the Lore of Death. So we have Spirit Leech, Fate of Buna. As far as army, Chaos Warriors with great weapons are a pretty good pick here because they kind of serve a dual purpose. Number one, they trade efficiently with Black Orcs, and against Savage Orcs and Biggins, they have a lot of armor. So obviously, the lack of armor piercing on those units, you know, they're going to struggle a little bit against those guys. Forsaken, pretty good at like pushing around the flanks, getting into the rusty airs, things like that. And of course, we do have a second Shaggoth. So Kolek definitely doesn't like to run alone. He's got his bro down there. Very good for like focusing down like high value greenskin targets. So the mat score is the one thing I'm a little bit on the fence about, and it always sounds good on paper, but for some reason, I guess I'm just terrible at using it, but I don't know, I just can't make it work that well. But still, mat scores are good for sniping like Orc Shamans and things like that, so hopefully it'll play out well this time, but we'll definitely see, guys. And I think I had Aspiring Champions, but Forsaken are good. I mean, they trade well somewhat efficiently with like Savage Orcs and things like that, but when Savage Orcs got that buff where they went up to, what was it, from 20 to 30%, that actually made a pretty big difference, so Forsaken aren't quite as good in this matchup as they used to be, but they used to be a pretty dominant force. But they trade well with, you know, Orc Biggins, and they can also outrun, you know, Black Orcs and outmaneuver and get in the back line and, you know, really be menacing. So, all right, so let's go ahead and set up our army composition here. So the Chaos Warriors are just going to be spread out in the front. No need to go really like, you know, the only time you go like narrow like this, guys, is if you're like worried about getting like charged through. But in this matchup, obviously the Greenskins, sometimes they'll mix in Squigs in the front line, but Squigs don't really have, you know, that much push through kind of ability. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. So Aspiring Champions right here. We're going to keep it a little bit high and tight. We're going to get the Chaos Death Sorcerer, have him kind of lurking in the middle as well. And the Forsaken, like I mentioned before, pretty good at like detaching and dealing with like Orc Boars and things like that. So we're going to put these guys right here, like so. And of course, the Mighty Kolek. So we're probably going to put some Hounds out on each side and just use them as like a prodding kind of harass force. We want to run in there and make our opponent like stress out about them and, you know, all that kind of good stuff. So honestly, the main thing is just making sure that your Kolek doesn't get focused down, because if they don't have like missiles, it's so hard to deal with Kolek. So we'll put the mat score there, we'll put the Hounds in group 3 and 4 respectively, and let's get this battle rolling. So right now, allied troop count, I have 493. Oh my goodness, he only has 340 actually, so that's a really small army. So maybe Arachnarch Queens or Giants, but I mean Giants get dumpstered by Kolek pretty aggressively. But oh, maybe he has a bunch of Trolls. All right, guys, we're in for some fun. So this is actually like a very efficient armor-piercing core. He has Trolls, Black Orcs, and anti-large. So I think this will be good for us. Grimgore is a little bit scary, but you know I'm not terribly concerned. So let's go ahead and get rolling over here. We'll get the Hounds going on both sides around the army. And we do have the Fate of Buna, which is very good against Black Orcs. So we're just going to use that like on these Crimson Killers over here. And that's one of the reasons the Crimson Killers, like I rarely use them. And oh, he does have Sneaky Stealing. So you guys see my Winds of Magic right now is 1 per 20. That's because he has a Night Goblin Shaman hidden somewhere, which has Sneaky Stealing. So pretty strong stuff. So the mat score, we want to just go after the Hammer of Gork here. And basically what we want to do with the Hounds is just run him into the Shadow Realm. We just want to run him into the corners of the map and just kind of waste their time. So I think we do have Lord of the Storm coming up in, yeah, actually, not for another 45 seconds. So Lord of the Storm is a pretty strong tool. So match scores are also very good for scouting. So we can go around and like see what's going on and see if he has, what's it called? What are those things called? Missile units. So obviously he probably has the Rusty Airs hiding somewhere. We've uncovered some hidden foes, but I don't really see anything yet. So where are those guys? I know they're lurking somewhere. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I think he has like the Rusty Airs kind of in there somewhere. I'm not sure. Anyways, so we're going to get the Hounds and just keep doing laps around my opponent. Always constantly be checking on that. And they're so much faster than the boars that you can really, you know, you get a lot of, you know, wiggle room there. So we're going to get our forces marching right up the pipe here. And let's go ahead and start engaging here and here and here. The Trolls are going to be pretty strong in the front line, but honestly, I think we should be, you know, A-okay. So, oh, we actually got caught over there. So right as I was talking about that. So let's pull these guys over here and have them engage like so. And let's also get that that Fate of Buna going right here on the Crimson Killers. So good, we get that cast right there. We're going to push these guys in like this, and we're going to get the Forsaken coming up and around the back. And the Forsaken we want up and around the back just like that. So the mat scores and the other guys should be able to like overwhelm these cav right here. So we're going to go ahead and intercept them right now. We're going to Kolek and a Shaggoth Bro, and we can just start honestly work down these Trolls right here. So I think they do count as like large units, so we should get a little bit of an anti-large thing going on. And the Forsaken honestly will do pretty well against the Orc Boars. And over here we get a full surround with poison and all kinds of good stuff. So let's go ahead and pop our different leadership buffs. And I think we save for another Fate of Buna. I think that's going to be more valuable here. So Like I mentioned before, Orc Boars, very lightly armored unit, relatively speaking, against the 64 weapon strength of the Forsaken. So let's make sure to get these guys engaged as well. A little bit of slacking going on there. So great. So we just like did excellent. And the Forsaken, we don't want them engaged on Black Orcs. So we're just going to kind of run these guys around, do a little fancy shift microing over there, little Bob Ross action. And Kolek seems to be doing pretty well. So let's go ahead and get them. Oh, the Shaggoth is a little bit surrounded though. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of a tactical retreat with our Shaggoths over here and get them running over here to where we have a little bit of a number advantage going on. These Forsaken here will go ahead and come up and around here, and great. So we do finally shut down that artillery piece. We want to push through with the Shaggoth. We don't want him kind of getting isolated here. So come on, push through. Man, he's taking a ton of damage. I don't know what it is that's doing all that work. So we do have another Fate of Buna coming up here in a moment. So let's go ahead and engage on these Black Orcs, and we can actually use those Forsaken and use that caster kind of overwhelm right there. So good. So now we can kind of do a bit of a mass engagement right here. Let's get this guy focusing on this little Goblin Big Boss right here. And Kolek, we want to probably start focusing on... do we want to go after Grimgor? I don't know. It's a bit of a risky gambit. We'll go in there and at least do a little bit of a charge action. So we do have that Fate of Buna going on. So we're going to go ahead and cast it on these Black Orcs right here, and that should be pretty good for us. But again, we're taking a little bit of work, so we're going to kind of keep pulling back and trying to be as aggressive and take advantage of the speed of Kolek. Because my opponent has a pretty scary little like hunting squad here. He has like all these Night Goblin Shamans and other units like that. So let's actually see if we can like attack these trolls and have a bit of a mass routing type situation. Good. So this other Dragon Ogre is going to be coming back. Kolek is still eager. Balance of power is also quite even. So every time I run in there with Kolek, you want to just pull back immediately because my opponent is basically like force pathing and force targeting everything on Kolek every time I run in there. So let's get a rear charge with those hounds. We're able to break those Black Orcs on the far side, which is great. So Kolek, he's back out again. We're going to go ahead and pop a Lord of the Storm. I don't want to get too much friendly fire because my opponent simply doesn't have that much troop density here. So we're going to go ahead and charge in here, pop this ability and that Shaggoth. Let's go ahead and pull him back as well. And we will actually probably have enough for another Spirit Leech here in a moment. So you can see a lot of my opponent's forces, the trolls and other units like that, are starting to rout off here. So he does have some isolated troops here on the top. So we're actually going to go ahead and send Kolek over there after those guys. We don't want him, again, fighting against those heroic units. And just look at that mob squad coming after me right there. So we're going to pull back right here, use the Arcane Conduit to buff those guys up. But honestly, like a lot of his infantry corps is in bad shape, and we do break those freaking trolls finally. So let's get in there and finish off the Crimson Killers. We'll pull these guys around here to finish off those trolls, and we'll use our Sorcerer to intercept those Orc Boars there, which should be good. So Bounce of Power, I think, is slightly in our favor here. So we do have this this Goblin Big Boss isolated, and Kolek just took out like half his health, which is incredible. So one more attack, and just look at that. He literally gets 3-shotted there, which is really, really strong. So we're going to stick the Manticore to kind of chase that guy and also get a little bit of a... One more auto attack should honestly like put this guy in the grave a little bit. So Kolek and the Manticore, we're going to pull them back because Grimgor was over there, and that's not fun for anyone. And our Goon Squad, we're going to go finish off the last of these Black Orcs. So my opponent's core is starting to collapse. He does have some heroic units, but you can see these Goblin Big Bosses are not in a good situation at all. So let's go ahead and chase those guys down. And do we even need to use Lord of the Storm? I don't really think so. Yeah, it looks like a lot of his infantry are pretty much offline. So we're going to go ahead and cast a Spirit Leech on Grimgor right here. Might as well start working on him. We're just going to finish off those Goblin Big Bosses so they don't like come back in the fourth quarter. And let's also get our caster back here. So one thing I've kind of failed to do this battle is to really just make sure that everything is fighting, because I probably do have some troops en route that are not engaged, like over here, for example. Granted, they could have just broken. So let's go ahead and pull those guys back here. We're going to push in here and just isolate this stupid shaman who's just been trolling me, just cackling in the corner all game. So we're going to kill him. It looks like he is somewhat low. He's broken. He's terrified. Big Papa Kolek, the mighty pony, as Lady Turin loves to call him, is doing some good work here. So the Night Goblin is down. Grimgor is relatively isolated, and that was a great game. I actually liked my opponent's use of trolls. Like, you don't really see like efficient troll play a lot, but he actually made them work. Like, they were wrecking my front line. And as you guys can see, my Chaos Warriors like really, really collapsed there. So right now we just need to finish off Grimgor. Let's keep these Forsaken here. We'll just use the Hounds to kind of chase down these trolls. And of course, the eternal issue with trolls is their leadership. So we'll get these Chaos Warriors in auxiliary to go finish off those Black Orcs on the periphery. And I think that's good. I think everything's going to code. And it looks like my opponent is suffering some mass army losses. So Grimgor is down. He's out for the count. And I don't think they have any like unbreakable units. So very well played to my opponent. That was a cool build. Definitely had some good goonage. The Goblin Big Bosses in conjunction with Grimgor, like normally like an Orc War Boss or like any of those other Orc Lords aren't like as threatening, but he did a really good job chasing down my Shaggoth with those Goblin Big Bosses. Crimson Killer is a bit of a wasted investment. I'm not wasted. I mean, 50 kills is okay, but I mean the regular Black Orcs almost did as good, and they're just such a magnet for like Fate of Buna and things like that for their costs. But the Orc Boars, big ones, pretty good. Anti-large, armor piercing, can't complain. Trolls didn't rack up a ton of kills, but I feel like they had a pretty decent little presence in the front line. I don't know if I would call them optimal, but I still think they're, a decent pick there. So, well played to my opponent, Licensed to Ill. Look forward to seeing you again on ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that Chaos Cast. Have an excellent night and take care.